Now that you're back from the missions trip, you taking a few days off from the work of evangelism, just kind of taking it easy?
Unfortunately, that's the mentality of many Christians who come back from a missions trip. They have a great mountaintop missions experience, but then back home they never open their mouth about the gospel of Jesus Christ. We should be willing to share the gospel wherever we can.
Ray, why do you think that is? Why is it easier for people to share the gospel in a foreign land than right in their own neighborhood?
You know, I'm going to get Eddie Roman to answer that. He's our editor, producer, and he knows firsthand how easy it is to fall into that trap.
I spent over 10 years working as a photographer and video producer for different missions and evangelism organizations. I've had the opportunity to preach the gospel to many people in hostile environments, places like Sudan and Pakistan. On the mission field, I would trust God and step out in faith, but back home in America, I didn't talk much about Jesus. Evangelism was a thing you did over there on mission trips, not at home where people actually know you. At church, I was teaching Bible studies, but when it came to talking about God with unbelievers, I was bound by fear. Fear of what other people might think, fear that I wouldn't know what to say, and fear of just messing up. Throughout the Bible, we see God telling His children to trust Him regardless of their fear. In Joshua 1:9, God says, "Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And Proverbs 29:25 says, "The fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe." My fear was hindering my walk with the Lord. We're told to make disciples, and making a disciple begins with preaching the gospel. There came a point in my life when I had to ask God to forgive me of my disobedience in the area of evangelism and for just not trusting Him. By God's grace, I repented of my fear of man as well as my complacency, and since then, God has given me a new passion to reach the lost. Nowadays, I witness to people on a regular basis. I'm not a pastor or a professional minister, I'm just a regular guy, stepping out in faith, believing in the God of the Bible who's called His children to preach the gospel.
So don't for a minute let fear stop you from sharing your faith. As long as God allows us to, we'll be preaching the gospel here in California, and we hope you'll do the same no matter where you are, Australia, New Zealand, France, India, China, Russia, or to unreached people groups. According to Dr. Bill Bright, only 2% of the contemporary church regularly share their faith with others, and many hold back because they're afraid they won't be able to defend the faith.
The School of Biblical Evangelism is a full-blown online evangelism course. It'll help you overcome your fears. It'll help give you the answers to the 100 most commonly asked questions and objections to the Christian faith.
Join the School of Biblical Evangelism today. You'll be forever glad you did.